good.
Glad you guys didn't go with a left-hander today.
Yeah, there was really never any discussion about who was going to start today's game. It was always going to be Gage. So obviously in that moment to do that, I don't think we're ever going to see anything like that again. That's by far the greatest performance I've ever seen. And you take into the scope that it's an elimination game. And it's a kid that's been through a lot this season, whether it was injury or just coming back from that, and to do that on this stage, what a great performance.
You've been holding him back for so many weeks. At what point did you feel like he was able to go the distance? I mean, I know he hasn't gone as long as he did today, but let him go.
Tennessee, probably the first time against Tennessee, he went. It was like 70 or 80 pitches in 3 1/3, so he was able to bounce back from that pretty well. And then he had I think it was a 92 or a 96 pitch outing against Creighton in the regional. So that kind of shows you that he's got that in the tank. And then today, I mean, the last 2 innings are just adrenaline, right? I mean, I went and asked him in the 8th. I said, "Man, I got to ask," and he just looked at me like he was about to kill me or something. I walked away.
What makes his fastball so unique?
There's a lot of things that go into it. Extension, the profile of where he launches from. So he launches with low. His vertical approach angle is in the 4s or the 3s, which is a unique pitch. And you start putting all those things together, and the fact that he's got an ability to throw to the top of the strike zone, looks like it's on a ramp. I mean, it was pretty electric today. But that's what it's been all season. It was obviously better today than it's been all year. I mean, everything he threw was better today than it's been all year, and probably in his entire life. But his fastball always shows up.
You let Ryder call pitches. I mean, how much did he have to do today?
A lot. I asked for one pitch. I said fastball into the microphone one time. That was it. So he called the other 118. He's been great. Ryder's been great all year calling pitches and being able to use different strengths of some of our pitchers. And I thought today they were just in a really, really good group. He started to talk to me about the leadoff hitter, the 4-hole hitter, and I was just like, man, I'm not going to talk to you right now about this. It was in the 8th inning. I was like, just do what you've been doing.
Do you feel like he's gotten better at calling pitches, maybe last 6 weeks or so?
Yeah, I think that it's just a comfort level. The more you do things, the better you get at it. So I do believe that it's one of those things. I mean, he's still only a sophomore, and he's only been calling pitches for really this season. I mean, he only caught, I think, maybe between 15 and 20 games last year, if that. So this is really the first year he's had to do it.
It wasn't caught on the broadcast, but I kind of saw you go down there and talk to him a little bit, and he kind of said some words that can't be over FCC airwaves. What is it kind of like to see a guy in that mode and just kind of claim it and say, hey, this is my game, do not take me out?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't planning on taking him out, but he was pretty emphatic that I wasn't going to be taking him out. And you got to let a guy have a moment, right? I mean, he'll remember this the rest of his life, and I hope so will everybody that was here to watch it. And I'm not, he was fine. The velocity was still good. His stuff was still good. I feel like I have to ask in that moment just because I'm his pitching coach, and it's the farthest he's been for us this season, and there was no way I was taking him out of that game.
What did you see on the one hit by pitch that he did have?
I saw a really good breaking ball to the back foot, which was called, and he just didn't move. It was just a really, really good pitch, and when we throw a back foot spin to guys, if you're gonna make an omelet, sometimes you gotta break some eggs. I mean, at times they are gonna hit him in the back foot with an executed pitch, and I actually thought it was a decent pitch.
What did you see out of Gage pregame? Did you get a sense that this was going to be a special day?
I thought it looked really good. I was talking to Ryder after he played catch. I usually ask, how it's coming out, how does it look, and he just said, he's like, all of his pitches are really good. And usually I got to pull that out of Ryder. I got to tell him that I think his pitches are good, so he'll agree with me. But today, I was just like, no, all his pitches look really good. So,
what does it say about him as a competitor? Because he was kind of banged up this year to come back and obviously playing his best baseball.
I think it says everything you think it would say about him as a competitor. I think a lot of he had established himself as a pretty good prospect going into the time that he missed. And he could have easily just shut it down and just taken it to the draft, and not chose to come back and not chose to try to compete and help our team get to the World Series. But it means so much to him, like as an in-state kid and just as a teammate. He's just a great teammate. He's a leader, and we don't pick captains, or we didn't this year, but I think everyone would probably say that Gage would be or is one of them. And I just feel like when a guy gets an opportunity to do something like that, and you get to see the end of it, the game, obviously. Like, everybody now thinks he's a great competitor, but what I saw was a guy that didn't have to do this. Like, at no point did he have to do this. No one was going to push him and make him come back. And he wanted it for the team so badly that he was willing to. This is his draft year, and he's a junior, and he's going to get. Someone should pick him really good, and that's a gamble. but it wasn't for him. Like, he knew exactly what he wanted to do, and he was dead set on coming back to help the team. And I hope it says everything that needs to be said about him as a competitor.
It was a 3-run game with the hit by pitch had it stood in the ninth inning. Was there any thought to maybe go to the bullpen, or were you going to let him keep going?
No. He had to finish. He had to give up a hit first.
Gotcha.
He was always going to stay in until he gave up a hit.
You talked about him being an in-state kid. The first thing he did was rep the Arkansas across his chest. Just, you know him. What do you think this meant to him?
I mean, I don't have the superlative to say what this meant to him. It's just this is one of the greatest things he's probably ever done in baseball. And, it's going to be hard to top. Like, I saw Hagen Smith strike out 17 down in Arlington, and I remember telling Coach Van Horn after that game, I don't know that we'll ever see that again. And I told the pitching staff at the end, it was like, we just saw that times about 5. That's one of the that's the greatest single performance I've ever seen in 22 years of coaching.
Thank you, Coach.
Yeah.
You mentioned Hagen Smith's performance 18 months ago. What is it about Arkansas that is able to churn out these kinds of performances?
I mean, Nate Thompson recruits really good pitching. I think he's a really good recruiting coordinator, and I feel like once they get here, you get the right kids in the building. They have a desire to get better, and I think that says a lot about. I hope that says a lot about the program, that we can crank out guys like this. But it also says a lot about the kids, that just they're willing to do the work that's required to become as good as they are.
Awesome. I appreciate it.